chat about the good old days. I like to call them now, it seems like. But take us back to your day writing a song from start to finish, and feel free to just even say let's go with Turn Off the Lights. How did that
man
from start to finish? Give us a breakdown of that song.
Turn Off the Lights came from a real life situation. I was kicking it with this young lady, and she was a little bossy. And I've been hitting on her for a while, but she was not moving like I wanted her to. And she finally broke down. It was about to go down. And she said, look, let me tell you something, goddammit. I don't play. I'm a hell of a woman. And damn it, you ain't a hell of a man. You need to get your ass up out of here. And that was pretty much the gist of the conversation. I took that, and this came to me. Everything else is, I said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm at the Compton SWAT beat, and that shit stuck in my head, and it just hit me. I felt like I was just verbally just throwing up because it just came up. Before you turn off the lights, blah blah blah. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I just wrote it all. I wrote the whole song in the parking lot of the Compton swap meet after I dropped off some records. I wrote it on the sleeve of a record, and Dre had that beat he was playing with here in the studio, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he was kind of feeling it, and we finally laid it down after I had to bribe their ass to go to the studio because they was kind of mad at me for a minute. But yeah, that's how it came down. Lovers was the same thing. We had heard, me and Clientele we was all driving back from a gig from Oakland, and we rolling down the street, and LL had just dropped I Need Love, and it was a cool ass song. But we said, you know something? Ain't nobody ever made a love song for the West Coast. And well, how we gonna do it for us? How we gonna do that shit? We do it like them cats back in the day, the Floaters. And oh man, we can't sing. We ain't got to sing. It was just one. We ain't got to say we rappers, and that's how Turn Off the Lights came about. I mean, Lovers came about. Much love, Tony.
Lovers. Shout out to Tony.
ATK.
He says, Lonzo, did you ever use the Roland TR 909?
Yes, we used that kick drum. We actually sampled it, and we used the kick drum for one of our CBS album.
Break down what a Roland TR 909 is.
It's a drum machine made by Roland. They had a 303. They had this 303, 606, and 909. 909 was the big one. My first drum machine was a Roland 303, I believe it was. They had a little silver box. They had a bass line and a silver box came together. Then they started making these other they all look alike. It was just bigger versions of the same thing. And the 909 was white. And it had all the Roland products had their own distinct sound, but the one we liked the best on the 909 was the kick. The 808 on 808, I mean the drum on the 808 was bomb too, but it just had the 808 had a bigger, expansive. You could open up the gate on the 808 and you got a bigger boom. And the 909 had a little bit more punch to it, but it was still just as fat.
What's a piece of equipment that you wanted at one time? You saved up. It took you a few months to save up money. Maybe you had to put it on layaway. I don't know. But what is one prized piece of equipment for your studio that you got back in the day to where you're like, damn, I can't believe I got this?
Probably an emulator. An emulator. Emulator was the shit back in the day. The emulator.
What's that?
Emulator was a keyboard that you can put in. It was a sample keyboard. It was huge. It was heavy as hell, but it was made by EMU Systems, and it was like one of the first keyboards that you can actually play all kind of shit. You can that thing. It was a digital sampler. That it was more playing horns and drums, unique drums, whatever. But at that time, it was just a shit. It was just a shit. What everybody wanted, but nobody ever had, except for the big money studios. There was called a Fairlight. It was called a Fairlight system. A Fairlight system back then ran you about 50 grand. I only knew one guy that had one. A guy named John. It was like 50 grand. It had to have its own room to keep it air conditioned. It was a huge ass computer, and you can grab any sound in the world out this damn thing, man. It was like the ultimate shit. I think maybe Quincy Jones and this guy John had one, and it damn near came with his own maintenance man. You had to like tweak it, coming in. Somebody had to check on it every few weeks, man, like a pool or whatever. It was just a huge ass system, but the keyboard gave you any sound in the fucking world at the time. Anything, no disc, no nothing. It was like a big ass computer, and the sounds were just magnificent. The horns, all the unique horns, banjos, whatever you want, orchestra sounds, whatever you wanted. You could hear the strings being plucked on these damn things. It was Fairlight system was the shit. Never wanted one, never could afford one, but that was the shit of that time. And the emulator was a smaller version of that.
Got it. I love these stories, man. Tyree D says, do you remember the MPC 60 coming out in '87?
Hell yeah. I never bought an MPC 60. By the time they came out, when I first got into the studio business, I was the only one that had a studio, period. And because I had a studio, I had some equipment. I had SP1200, SP1200, rolling keyboards, and Jupiter 8s, whatever the case may be. And the drum machine started changing so fast, I stopped buying drum machines because it didn't make sense. Because no matter what you bought, somebody else is going to come in with something else anyway. And the MPC just became the workhorse of all the producers, and they were like, shit. 2,500, $3,000. I just spent 2,500 on the SP1200. I'm like, I ain't doing that no more. And then, like I said, shit kept changing so fast. And then all of a sudden the studios became so abundant. I got out of the studio business. Just like Barry White said, I shut my studio down. But I looked up and Roland had a 24. Roland came out with a 24 track digital hard drive studio. And the motherfucker was this big, okay? 24 tracks. A 24 track studio that was this big, fed in a briefcase. I'm out of the studio business. Nope, you can't make no money. I still got tape. I still got, you got to go buy tape and you got to go buy reels and no. I can't compete with that. And that's what put me at. That's why I left the studio business.
Damn, dude. Chris Dax says, Lonzo, what kind of board did you have?
One of my first mixing boards was a Kai MG1212. It was an all-in-one unit. It used like a mini, like a Betamax tape. It was a 12-track unit. We did all our demos on that. I sold that. Got a 16-track Tascam, whole Tascam system, and I had one more system after that. And